Utah, and we just arrived here in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, about 3.5 weeks ago. And we just recently met up with our friends, the Owens, who will introduce themselves a little bit.
Yeah, so we're the Owens, and our channel is Have Freedom Will Travel, and we full-time RV for the past year in the United States, and now we're here in beautiful San Miguel de Allende.
De Allende. The
Yes.
two L's make like a Y sound.
So we're still learning our Spanish, and we're just here for a month or two.
So we met actually their first night here, and
and our channel is World School Adventure.
So World School Adventure together. So my phone broke probably the first week we got here, and it's just been really fickle, and it's kind of difficult to get electronics in Mexico. So I knew that Giovanna was coming. We are actually members of a pop-up community that's happening here in October 2018 in San Miguel together. And there are about 30 families joining with this pop-up community. And so I reached out asking if I had a phone shipped to their address, if they could bring it across the border with them, and they did. They were amazing. And instantly we knew we would be friends. We just didn't know how good of friends we were going to be.
Right?
So we both have 10-year-old boys, and they instantly connected with Legos. They've had a blast together. So the day after we met, what happened, Giovanna? Do you want to tell them the story a little bit about your place and your ride down?
So we should start by saying this is our first time to Mexico. So we've been traveling for the last year in the United States, and now we're finally going out of the country to spend some time down here.
Yeah, and so on our way down here, we had a really hard time with immigration, just going across the border. We couldn't find the office to register our vehicle and get our visas. It took us about an hour or so just driving around in a circle around the same block over and over and over again, because we kept seeing the signs and we had instructions from online, but it was really hard.
Yeah, there'd be a sign that said, vehicle importation permits this way, right? So we would go that way, and then there wouldn't be any more signs.
Or there'd be a big barricade and you couldn't get through.
Yeah, we finally did find some signs, and we got to the spot where they had completely excavated the street, and we had to go around, and by then we were lost and didn't know where we were. So it took a long time to figure that out.
Yeah, and then once we got all that taken care of, once you're to the office, it's super easy. It's just finding the office. But after that, we ended up driving in Mexico at night, which everyone says you're not supposed to do. First time in Mexico. And it was like a monsoon-like storm. So we ended up driving in about 2.5 feet of water all the way to Monterey. And we saw people like literally trudging through 2 feet of water. Luckily, we had our big truck, so it wasn't a big deal for us. But for the little cars and everything, we were just
Yeah, they're all
surprised. Yeah,
I think you said all your stuff got rained on too.
Yeah.
All our stuff was
everything
wet.
just got soaked.
All of our kids' clothes, we didn't have enough room to put it like in the cab of the truck. It was all like in the bed. So all of our kids' clothes were wet. Everything was soaked. We stopped in Monterey for the night, and then we drove on to San Miguel. The roads here are really good, actually.
The toll roads.
Yeah, the
toll
toll
roads.
roads.
Always take the toll road.
Yeah, their version of the interstate, more or less.
Well, when we first crossed the border, we crossed at the Columbia Bridge crossing near Laredo.
Which is just a few miles from where you guys
not very
crossed.
far
That's
from,
a
far
different
from where
crossing.
you. But it's a lot less traffic at that crossing, which is what we've been told, which is why we crossed there. So if you're watching this and you're thinking of coming down here, cross at the Columbia Bridge. It's really nice and easy, and nobody's there, so it's great.
And the building where you get all those registrations is like right there.
Yeah.
Like we did pass it also.
And we made another video that goes through the details of that if you want to watch it. But anyway, so when we first crossed there, we had to get to Laredo, and that road, I was like, oh boy, if this is how all the roads in Mexico are, this is going to be a rough drive, because there were potholes like crazy. Like, it was bad road. And then as soon as we get on the toll road, all of a sudden, whoo, it's like American roads again. Okay, we're good to go. So like all the toll roads are amazing, but as soon as you get off the toll roads, it's like, ah. So anyway, of course, down here in San Miguel, the roads are actually decent. I mean,
Yeah,
they're bumpy.
there is
If you
a
don't
real
mind
road.
Yeah, where there's
driving
real
on
road.
cobblestone.
If you're not driving on cobblestone, because the
Cobblestone's
cobblestone.
everywhere here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't ride your bike on the cobblestone.
Yeah, so
We learned that
we
the
drove
hard
our
way.
bikes all the way
That
down
was
here
day
because
one
we're like,
for
it'll
you
be a
guys,
great idea. It'll be a great idea to just be in the middle of town and ride our bikes. And no, you can do it, but it's real hard. And
It's like,
kind of dangerous.
Your own kind of roller coaster.
Yeah, and then anyways, so our first day we had planned ahead and rented an Airbnb, and we got there and there were no windows. It was a beautiful like downtown area, right in Centro, and we were really excited to be in Centro where everything's happening. But there were no windows, and the place was really dirty. It had mold and cockroaches. We just had a really interesting first couple of days trying to survive there, trying to clean it. We couldn't get it clean enough. Our kids were getting sick, we were getting sick. So we decided that it was time to leave, and we reached out on the Facebook group for our pop-up community. And you guys were so kind to say, hey, come stay with us. And we didn't know anyone. We don't know anyone in Mexico. We had just met them for 10 minutes. And they were offering to let us live with them. So yeah.
It worked out great, actually. We have 2 spare bedrooms in our house here. We're a little bit further out of town, but having 4 bedrooms is really nice. And so we said, come live with us until you figure it out. Party at the Eggertsens. And that's what it's been. It's been like a great slumber party for the last few days.
It has. It's been
Living
really
here.
fun. We joke that it's like an adult slumber party. So, yeah, it's really fun.
Staying up late, talking until 1, 2 a.m.
It's like
Yeah,
what you always
yeah.
want to do, once you have kids, but you feel like your kids rule your life sometimes. Like, oh, sorry, I gotta go home and put my kids to bed. But it's great. Kids just go to bed, and then we can stay up, chatting it up. And so it's actually been a fun adventure for us to have the
Super
Owens
fun.
with us.
Yeah,
last few
it's
days.
been a lot of fun being with you guys too.
Yeah.
It's been
So,
great.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that we'd have to go so far to run into each other?
I know, right? It's crazy. It's
awesome.
It's so fun. And that's actually the cool thing about traveling is that we were just talking that, you meet people that are pretty similar, at least they're passionate about traveling. So everyone we meet, all of the expats, it's like an instant connection and this love that we find. People are really, really nice, and we've made so many friends since we've been here. I don't think we've made so many friends so fast,
Yeah.
living in the States even.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of connection with the people here.
You're
It's
at
pretty
least
cool.
you're at least able to relate on the level of travel with everybody. Everybody you could talk to. Well, where you've been? Where have you been? Where are you going? And so that's an instant conversation starter. Of course, with the Owens, it goes a little bit deeper because we're both passionate about other things that are also similar. So that you still find those friends that the relationship can either stay at that level or you can keep going deeper. And some people that works with, but with it's been great having these guys because we just connect on so many levels. So it's awesome.
And I want to talk about passion just a little bit. Something that we haven't told you yet. Our family motto is "Live by Design," and the reason
Love it.
why we have that, long story short, is I came from a career where I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, and I was essentially living by default. Doing what everyone else expected me to do versus taking control and casting my own vision and living on purpose versus just doing whatever was next.
Right.
So the name of your channel is World School Adventure, and I just was wondering if you'd maybe talk a little bit about how you have implemented that little bit of living by design to create this vision and this lifestyle of world schooling.
Yeah, we often refer to it as living deliberately.
Uh-huh.
We love that word deliberate, where it's just like you're choosing the way you want to live, and you're choosing to have the mindset. Because I talked about in another video about how you kind of as you get here, you run into this stuff that's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, and all these problems. When you first, it seems like whenever you first move to a new place, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of problem solving that you have to do when you first get to it. But it all depends on the attitude you look at it. For us, it's like well, these are awesome learning experiences. We're learning
It's all an
so
adventure.
much.
That's what life is, right?
It's all an adventure. Solving the problems is part of the adventure, right? And so you can look at them as like, oh my gosh, this is miserable, and our house is terrible. We're getting sick and stuff. Or
I don't have anywhere to go.
I don't have
know
anywhere
what
to
I'm
go.
gonna do. Maybe
I don't
I should
have
go
any-
home.
But instead, you can look at it like, hey, well, what are the opportunities that can come from this? And obviously, the opportunity came for the Owens is that, hey, they got to spend a lot more time with us, and we got to spend a lot more time connecting. So that's been an awesome blessing, you know. So rather than seeing the problems, seeing the potential blessings that can come from the problems, and that's kind of the way, you know, living deliberately and choosing how we look at the experiences that come to us.
I also want to say too that, I mean, I think we all have a passion inside of us, like you mentioned. And for me, my passion has always been to travel. I don't know that that's always been my husband's passion, but I think he's gotten on board, and now, I mean, we're definitely both on the same page. But having that passion of wanting to raise my children and learning all around the world and learning about different cultures and different customs and different languages. And we kept thinking about it. We kept planning into the future. So when we do that, when we're going to do that, and I think we just realized, you know, a few months ago, earlier this year, actually in January, this is the time. You know, we need to stop putting it off, like when our dreams happen, when we get to travel the world,
When we have
get to
enough
do that.
savings.
Yeah.
Or
in the
yeah,
bank
when
account.
our kids are old enough, or when we're more established, or when that could go on forever.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like chasing
part
the
of it
rainbow,
is just
right?
starting. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You just have to start, and you get to start somewhere.
Yeah.
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 So if it's something that you've always been passionate about, just make a plan, set a date, and go for it.
And it doesn't have to be travel. It could be going to Disneyland, you know, on your that family vacation you've always wanted to go on, or whatever. You
Or
know,
it could
whatever
be
that
teaching your children a new skill, or
Absolutely.
you know, maybe you've always wanted to get to know older people better and learn wisdom from them, and you can go to somewhere today. Like, there are things that you can do today to help kind of perpetuate you, get you started on that path.
Living deliberately or living on purpose, right?
You know, and the key
Yes.
to, it, I think that what we're all kind of saying, I'm just going to try to summarize it up, so correct me. But, you know, a lot of people are stuck in fear because of what you were saying. You know, I'm going to wait until I'm stable. I'm going to wait until I have enough money. I'm going to wait until whatever. And, you know, for me in my own life, I was doing the same thing. That's what I call living by default. You know, instead of taking control and casting my own vision and following my own plan, I was doing what other people expected. You know, we're told to go to school, get a great job, get the benefits, and, you know, a 401k and retire and all that stuff. And that just wasn't the life that I really wanted to live. And because I was trying to do what I thought other people expected me to, what I'd been trained to my whole life, I was really dying inside. And that death was coming through fear. You know, I didn't want to take action because I was afraid I was going to upset somebody or do something wrong or whatever. So, you know, fear comes into your life and it assaults your faith, but action is what kills fear. So I think that's kind of what
I
we
love
mean
that.
by, you know, living deliberately or living by design, you know, is take steps, whatever step it is towards your goal, just take that first step and get that little bit of momentum going and put the fear behind you by moving forward and taking action.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I think also making sure that your expectations aren't so firmly planted in anything. For you guys, if that had been the case, you probably would have just turned around and
We
gone
would've
back to the
left.
United States.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to, after you take that action, it might not look exactly the way you want it to right at first.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the chances are is that it can be even better than what you could have imagined.
Right.
You know, the relationship that we've created, even over the last week, has been so valuable for us, and that I think, man, I don't know that I would have even envisioned that, but sometimes life can turn out better when you get less attached to the expectations that you have and you take that action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, sort of like not building up false expectations, maybe, or false hope or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we came to Mexico, you know, it's just like our other travels that we do. We just go somewhere with an open heart, an open mind, a desire to learn, a desire to meet new people, and just no expectations. And you know, if you have no expectations, but that you're just going to embrace whatever comes your way, you're going to have an amazing adventure.
So start your adventure today.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe. If you're watching on our channel, go to the description and hit the. We'll post the link to their channel and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Follow us on our adventures.
Yeah.
Come
Awesome.
join us.
we'll see ya.
Bye.